Hello and welcome to today's Daily Rift. I'm Stormo. And I have, well, news, I guess. Not necessarily good news, but I was finally able to get onto the PTR last night. I had a bit of a play around. Had a look. I felt like I was doing more damage with my main Demon Hunter, not this character. My main Demon Hunter. Definitely felt like I was doing a bit more damage with her than I do on live, and I haven't looked at the patch notes too extensively, but I don't recall seeing too much in the way of changes for Demon Hunters that would cause that, so either there's some stats that have changed on my sets, or something else has changed that I wasn't paying full attention to at the time, but I certainly felt like I was doing more damage. Speaking of damage, those guys went down pretty quickly. We should do a fair bit more damage with this character today too. There's a couple of really interesting quality of life changes on the PTR as well. One of which is that when you pick up crafting materials like you know, the various crafting materials like Death's Breath and things like that, when you pick those up now, they automatically pick up like in a range, kind of like how I was going to say kind of like how money pickups work, but it's not really how money pickups work at all, unless you're a Demon Hunter with Ferret that does that. But yeah, basically, you can basically vacuum up crafting materials that are around you now, which I thought was interesting. I did have a go at a Rift and a Greater Rift, and I also did a couple of bounties. I didn't have a lot of time to spend on the PTR, so I haven't had a thorough look at it yet. I do intend, now that I'm able to get on, and presumably I'll be able to get on pretty reliably for next week, I do intend to record at least one video covering the PTR for 2.2. I'm not sure how far that will be into the future, but that's a thing that will certainly happen. One thing that's going on in the PTR at the moment, actually, which is a little bit amusing, is that there's a community buff that gives a 2000% chance to find legendary items. What this basically means is that every item I had drop during one of my Rift runs was a legendary. That's just a PTR thing, that's not coming to the live game. It's basically because they want people to get the new legendaries and test them out to make sure that there's nothing wrong with them. So they've done that just to allow that to happen. So it's kind of fun though, like you go around and just all of a sudden there'll just be these orange and green beams of light all over the place as you kill enemies. I found one other interesting change, which is to regular Nephilim Rifts, not Greater Rifts, regular Nephilim Rifts, is that Elite and Champion packs now drop the same Rift Progress Orbs that you get in Greater Rifts. Which is an interesting change. It certainly makes those rifts a lot faster to complete, but I'm not entirely sure that's a good thing. I don't really understand the philosophy behind that change, and I also know that it's not a change that's actually listed in the patch notes, so whether that's intended to be a change that goes live, or whether that's something they've done just for testing in Greater Rifts, I don't fully know. I certainly do know it's not documented in the patch notes, because I saw it on a list of undocumented changes the other day. So yeah, I thought that was a rather interesting thing that's happening. One of the other things that I did get to try actually was the new bounties. There's a couple of new bounties, just basically to mix up the variety of bounties that you get when you do adventure mode. And the one that I got that was new was a bounty which involved rescuing prisoners in Act 1. I think it was in the Fields of Misery area. You basically have to go around the whole area and find these particular prisoners, and they're guarded by the mission itself is, well, the bounty itself is basically about Templars holding these guys prisoner, and they're guarded by monsters, and you kill the monsters and then free the prisoner. And it just mixes up the variety of bounties, because let's face it, bounties aren't the most exciting things to do, and you kind of need to do them if you want Rift Keys, so they're sort of necessary, because the way, I wouldn't call it a progression, there's this sort of, well, it is a progression, I guess, in one sense, but there's basically this sort of process to do Rifts, and the first part of the process is collect Rift Keys, do bounties. The second part is, of course, do Rifts, and then the third part is do greater rifts when you get the keystones of greater rifts, the keystones of trials. I did notice actually that there hasn't been any changes to the realm of trials, which I know a lot of people would like to see because the realm of trials is kind of dumb at the moment. So I had read that there were plans to change, or Blizzard wanted to change the way the realm of trials work, or some other way of doing trial keystones. So I have read that that's on the plan, but it looks like it may not be something that will make it into 2.2, which is a bit unfortunate. So yeah, it looks like we'll be stuck with the realm of trials for a bit longer. And the problem with that, of course, is that if you're anything like me, you can very easily get like a 30 grift key out of a realm of trials, but actually doing that can take time, and it's just a right pain in the bum. I know one strategy at the moment is to sort of basically underdo yourself in a trial run so that you get a low grift key, so you have a bunch of easy grift clears before you start getting up to the hard stuff. And I know that's a fairly common thing. It's not something I've deliberately done. I've occasionally done it by accident, just because of making mistakes, but I haven't actually had less than a 30 grift key for a long time now. So, but yeah, I'm sure that it's something I haven't. I don't know why I'm bothering picking up gems, because I really am not going to use those gems. So I may as well just ignore them completely. We're actually level 48. I didn't realise how high level I got. Deep into what I would call the nightmare section of leveling if we were on the old difficulty, which is good. Pushing for hell at this point. That was the third difficulty. It was normal, nightmare, hell, and inferno. That's right. Yeah. So we're pushing for hell difficulty at this point. Although I seem to recall you couldn't start hell difficulty until you're level 50, and I know this because I got a character through Nightmare difficulty, but she was only level 49, and I had to basically start Nightmare difficulty again to level up enough to start Hell difficulty. So that was kind of annoying at the time, but yeah. So we're level 48 now. That's pretty cool. Anyway, so, more PTR stuff. There's a new thing on the PTR called the Wardrobe, which is an item in the towns that you'll be able to click on, and that allows you to change various cosmetic features, like if you have the wings that you get with new characters, or your portraits that you've unlocked, you'll be able to change what those are, which is a really interesting new feature. Basically, this is partly to support the fact that there's going to be microtransactions in the Asian region for Diablo 3. And some of those microtransactions are going to be unlockable character portraits. It also includes the Paragon portraits, though, that you unlock as you progress through Paragon. So you can actually switch back to any unlocked Paragon portrait you already have. So if you feel that, you know, like the level 800 Paragon portrait is a bit ostentatious, you can go back to having like the normal non-Paragon portrait. So if you really want it, or there's a couple other really cool options. One of my favourites actually is that there's a portrait option that's basically based on Whimsydale, where it's a rainbow and two clouds at the side, and I'm really hoping that's something that'll become available to players in the West. If the Asian region is only getting the microtransactions, I hope Blizzard figures out a way of giving us access to that portrait, because it's really cool. In fact, I have to admit, I like the idea of using portraits as rewards more perhaps than using banner sigils and banner items as rewards, because honestly, how often do you see your banner outside of town? I mean, I know I can drop mine down just by whacking that key right there. Now I have my banner here. But honestly, you know, outside of doing stuff like that, it's not a particularly interesting thing to do. And of course, it's already despawned, so... In case you're wondering what that was on my banner, by the way, that's the one of the sigils that unlocks for having participated in the original Diablo 3 beta. So if you're looking at it and going, oh, I don't have that unlocked. Well, if you haven't got it unlocked now, you never will. So, yeah. I got into one of the stress test beta late in the Diablo 3 beta. Yeah. And I think also one of the other things there is Miss Pandaria Collector's thing too. So, bring it down again, you can see. Yeah, so the main sigil there is from being in the Diablo 3 beta, and the bottom part is for having the Mist of Pandaria Vigil Collector's Edition. So there you go, that's my banner, and I can't even remember what the shape or the background is. I know the background is just an achievement, it's not like a very special one, and I think the shape is actually, I think the shape is the one you get for killing Diablo the very first time. Or something like that. So I haven't changed my banner in years, so it's actually pretty much been the same since I first made it, which would have been pretty much the day the game came out. So yeah, that's how long it's been since I've changed my banner. Probably not actually, I probably have changed a couple of times, because if those other parts were unlocked by achievements, then I would have had to get those achievements first, but it certainly hasn't changed in a very long time, so I don't tend to change it too much anytime soon, so yep. Anyway, we're nearly done with this rift now too. So, and okay, so, what was I going to say? There's something else I was going to mention relating to Diablo 3. I completely forgot what it was. That's not unusual. I always forget stuff like that. It was probably something to do with the PTR that I've completely forgotten about. Oh, that's right. The other thing with the PTR, I think I mentioned this in a previous video, is that they've completely eliminated health potions in the game. Basically what will happen now is that the potion slot on your toolbar will essentially be a potion slot, but you'll have an unlimited supply of health potions, so you can effectively just drop one once every 30 seconds. I think in a lot of ways this helps justify having a cooldown on health potions. Having a limited supply of health potions made sense when there was no cooldown on potions, but since there's now a cooldown on the health potions, I feel like limiting their supply is just extra punishment, and it's good to see that they've changed that idea a bit too, so I'm pretty happy to see that, and I think that whatever happens next with health potions, the other thing that will happen too is that when you equip a legendary potion, which I don't have equipped on this character, but when you equip a legendary potion, that will replace the default health potion in that slot. The downside of that actually is that the legendary potion still actually takes up a spot in your inventory, so it doesn't come out of your inventory and go into that slot. I kind of wish that it was possible to do that, but I don't know if it actually is. I get a fiery brimstone then. Cool. Nothing else of particular interest as far as I can tell though, so I'll just bring up the inventory and see if we got anything particularly useful. That's a bit of an upgrade maybe, not quite. Oh, that's a huge upgrade, even without that socket. That's a massive upgrade. That's going on. I'm not going to socket it though, because I'll replace it eventually anyway. Those are definitely an upgrade, so I'll put those on. That's not an upgrade. Those are a moderate upgrade. Those aren't an upgrade. No, I'm a bit torn about that, because that is an upgrade, but I don't use Rain of Vengeance. That might be a better one to upgrade, even if it means losing a little bit of toughness. I don't think that's going to be a huge issue, so I'm going to go for that one, and I'll gem it once I get back to town. Got amulets out the wazoo. Oh, geez, that's a lot for what's essentially a very small drop in DPS. I could get a very large increase in toughness and healing, but do I need it? Probably not. That belt is... I lose the evasive fire damage though, so I don't think that's a big upgrade. And that's the same too, because I lose the evasive fire. They've all got entangling shot on them. Oh well. Anyway, that looks like it's about all I'm going to upgrade for the moment. Thank you all for watching, and I will be back tomorrow with another video.